Your MCM award entry, you did a lot of cross-channel in the past year, and you've been working even harder on excelling in cross-channel. Tell me a little about the entry that you submitted for this year's contest.
Well, the entry we submitted for this year's contest was based on a heritage product that we did some almost 100 years ago in 1920. It was an idea that really sprung out of our heritage and who we were and kind of the DNA of the Filson brand. And basically it was about this scarlet cruiser coat that Filson used to make in the 1920s, and as we researched it a little bit more and we looked at the actual product that we have hanging in our store, which has kind of these little museum areas, we looked at the coat and we thought, boy, that's something from the past, and why can't we extract part of our past, our heritage, and make it relevant for today and bring it alive? So the idea kind of sprung up early in 2011, and then as we researched it, we started to work with the product development teams. They put together the product. It was really the product development team who conceptualized the whole idea of the garment, how they'd make it even better than it was made before. And so at this point, the marketing group, was just aware of this concept, and our CEO at the time, a gentleman by the name of Mark Koros, thought of the idea of basically creating a new collection called the 1897 collection. So we were starting to get bits and pieces of ideas that were coming together in different directions, and pretty soon they started to converge, and I think they really converged when we were contacted by the Travel Channel and their Made in America segment, and basically they asked if they could do a film tour of the Filson factory. They were doing a segment on their Made in America show, and they wanted to showcase American companies with factories. So they came, and at the time they came, we just happened to be cutting the Scarlet Cruiser that we're going to be making for the fall season. And it was at that point that we really started to say, well, okay, here's how we're going to lay these things out. So we looked, very methodically at the catalog, we looked at the website, we looked at our email plan, we looked at how we would introduce this to the best customers, we looked at, because it was going to be individually numbered in a limited edition, we had to make sure that what we were doing was basically going to kind of scale relative to the number of garments that we were going to produce. So hopefully, that kind of gives you some ideas how it came together. And then as we got closer and closer, we just basically started to pencil the things out. And eventually we came up with a full array of paid search, email marketing, catalog marketing, website, banner ads, PR. PR was a very big component in this. We got a lot of good placements based on that product. And so that's really how it came together, and that's really what the entry was about. It's really telling the story of how it came together. It wasn't some grand idea that we, marketing thought of. It was really a company idea that kind of gelled, and marketing picked up midway through, I think.
Another finalist for the MCM Awards this year, LL Bean, had a similar type of campaign with the Fenway Park, the Fenway boat and tote bags, where they had a partnership with the Boston Red Sox and also the power of PR. And I think in their case, when I was talking with them, they were mentioning the PR really helped take that over the edge. Do you feel that's something that really has helped you guys out a lot as well? And is it something that is almost an underutilized channel?
Well, I think PR absolutely can take you to another level, and I think the reason is because you get this third-party endorsement from an objective, publisher who basically is talking about what you do, and in order to get that placement, they've got to be convinced that what you're doing is right. And so, yeah, the answer to your question, in my opinion, is that PR can take you to another level. Underutilized, maybe. I think the real skill in PR is having the right story to tell and knowing who to pitch it to. And we're fortunate enough to work with a great PR agency. It's Turner PR out of New York. They have a lot of contacts in the industry, and basically, matter of fact, one of their contacts was the Travel Channel, and they actually had some of the initial discussions when the Travel Channel wanted to do the Made in America segment. So I think that PR can be big for any company, but I think the real key to it is having the right story. Once you have the right story, then it just becomes a matter of logistics, pitching it to the right people.
Now, with your social media channels, I know you guys are very active in Facebook, very active on Twitter. You didn't really mention that as one of the bigger channels you used in this campaign, but was there interaction in the social media channels?
There was for us. I mean, basically, what we do from a social marketing standpoint is relatively new for Filson. We basically introduced what I would call, for lack of a better term, a blog, but it's really a mashup of Facebook, a blog, and feeds from Flickr and YouTube that's on the Filson website. And so we kind of use that as the basis to aggregate content and then kind of feed it out. We do obviously manage our Facebook channel, and we did promote this in advance, and so it was, the first notice is to our fans. Our fan base is still relatively small compared to some other retailers, but it's growing. And it is important, but I think we want to do it from the standpoint of being not so much promotional, but being informational. And I think there's a difference between the two. And so, when you tell your fans that you're doing something, we might offer them, free shipping on it or offering them first dibs. But the reality is we're not really trying to be very promotional. We want our fans, who are our customers, to basically recommend Filson. And right now we're blessed with the fact that 35% of people who hear about Filson hear about it from somebody else. They hear from a friend or a relative. That's a pretty amazing statistic. And so social is very important to us, and we did do some work on the social channels with this, but again, it was to be informational.
Looking back at this particular campaign, is there anything you would have done differently? Like after you looked back at everything that happened, looked back at all the analytics, was there anything you said, oh, maybe if we did this differently? Or was it all, hey, this was the perfect campaign, or this is the perfectly executed campaign for us?
Well, I think, yeah, so what I would say, I'm always pretty self-critical, and I think our company is pretty self-critical as well, and I think that as we look back and we play armchair quarterback a little bit, there are a lot of things that we could have done differently. I think we could have done a lot more video relative to this campaign, that we could have used both on the website, or we could have used as a push medium through email. I think we actually thought of publishing the travel channel Made in America segment, but the reality is they said no to that, and so we honored that. But I think video is one. I think another thing that's out there is that we probably would have literally made the limited edition a little bit bigger. Now I think it's okay to sell out, but I think we were, there's a fine line there that you don't really want to offend customers by saying you got this great new item and then just can't get it ever, right? So I think we could have probably looked at a better job of forecasting that and creating a little bit more. I think we could have probably, orchestrated the timing even a little bit better. I mean, there's a lot of things we could have done differently, but by and large, I'm really pleased with what we did do, and I think that what we did do proved that we can kind of take it to another level, and that's what we're trying to do this fall, and what we did this spring. I mean, creating a special edition as opposed to a limited edition was really an idea that came out of nowhere, and the fact that we were able to execute it in a short time. So I think what we're trying to do is to continually push the envelope a little bit with this whole idea of the 1897 collection, and more importantly, push the idea of how we create and tell the story of the Filson heritage.
Now we're talking, it's been maybe a year and a half now since you guys were named the Crosschannel Merchant of the Year for 2011, because we changed the calendar year settings for our awards. Yep. But what has it meant for you guys on the business end? Has there been more vendors reaching out to you all now saying, hey, we heard of you, we know you guys, we have products for you, or are there other things that it's been able to help you guys with as a company?
Well, we have had more people reach out to us, but the most important benefit of it, this might sound a little corny, but it's really built internal pride. I think the folks at Filson are very proud of the company. They love what they do, and I can honestly say that. This is the smallest company I ever worked for, and you can see it virtually everybody's eyes. They enjoy it. And I remember coming back with those awards and announcing it, and folks were you could just see their chest puff up, and they just felt really good about the work that they had done. And they should, because that goes from the merchants who create the product, to the sewers who construct the product, to the marketers who communicate the product, to the finance guys who count the money. I mean, everybody in there had some role in this, and it's pretty amazing how people come together. And I think that was the biggest benefit. Did we get more people who basically said, we heard you won the award? Yeah, we got a lot of calls, and people noticed that, and they basically congratulated us, and we had people saying that they had solutions that they could offer us. And that's certainly nice to be recognized and among a peer group, but I think the biggest benefit was internal.
Okay, that's great.